Good afternoon and welcome to today's webinar hosted by Creamer Media Webinars on behalf of global filtration technology provider Donaldson Filtration. Reducing unplanned downtime remains one of the most pressing challenges in mining operations, with direct implications for productivity, operating costs, and overall equipment reliability. This webinar will explore practical, real-world solutions aimed at improving plant performance, extending machinery uptime, and reducing maintenance costs across operations. The session will examine where performance losses typically occur in both plant and mobile equipment and the practical steps required to extend service intervals. It will also highlight the role of on-site technical support in identifying inefficiencies and implementing improvements. In addition, attendees will have the opportunity to engage directly with Donaldson's filtration experts. Before we begin, please note that the chat and the Q&A are available to you. Please post your questions in the Q&A and your comments in the chat. Both the Q&A and the chat are at the bottom of your screen. Please also be aware that we're recording this webinar and we'll send the recording to you when it's available. So let's get started by introducing you to today's speakers. They include Gabriel, Reuben Phasha, and Atish Singh from Donaldson Filtration, Dirk Visagie from DV Projects and Maintenance Solutions, and Stoffberg from Filtros Tubos, Mozambique. So without further ado, I'll hand over now to our panelists to get things started.
Cool. Thank you. Thank you very much, Shannon. Much appreciated. And I think if we could just do a disclosure, that wasn't a pre-recorded session. It was just flawlessly done. Thank you for that day. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Gabriel, and I've had the privilege to be associated with Donaldson Filtration Solutions for the past 15 years, heading up the industrial division for Africa, based in Johannesburg, South Africa, and I will be your facilitator for today's webinar. So, interesting enough, earlier today I had the privilege of perusing through the attendee list, and I must say it was really encouraging to see we have been graced by the presence of a diverse portfolio of different individuals, not specifically refined to the mining industry, but many of which is affiliated and associated in several different ways as first-tier suppliers and so on. Some of them include individuals from the mining industry itself, others the first-tier providers to the mining sector, accredited distributors of Donaldson Filtration Solutions, and, oh wow, Department of Education, and even a bigger wow, some attendees from the university, be it graduates or undergraduates. So a special note, specifically to those graduates or undergraduates, be rest assured today you are in comfortable hands because you've today been founded and affiliated with arguably one of the leading filtration solutions, Donaldson Filtration, globally. So we trust that you'd be adequately equipped and founded, that whenever you enter the mining sector, you add immense value from the inception. Donaldson Filtration views the mining sector as a critical component for our growth plan. So it remains the best interest of Donaldson to ensure that we have robust solutions and structures in place that are closely assigned and aligned to the mining sector to ensure that we offer tailor-made holistic solutions to ensure there is reduced downtime whilst allowing our customers to focus on their core responsibilities, maximizing output in a safe environment with the safety culture into consideration. So that said, I want to thank you all for the attendance and taking time from your busy schedules to attend or spend the next hour with us here. We trust that you would find this webinar insightful and quite rewarding. I will now move over to the list of panelists and give a brief overview before they start presenting. Can you move to the slide with the panelists, please, Shannon? There you go. So on your far list, just after myself, is Mr. Reuben Phasha, heading up the Africa business for the mobile solutions aftermarket side of the business. Has been affiliated to Donaldson for many years, following his studies, on the mechanical engineering and then some metallurgical qualifications. Prior to Donaldson, he's got extensive knowledge into earth-moving equipment for the pre-mining activities. So lots of insight and lots of knowledge. Then we move over to Mr. Glenn Stoffel, the General Manager of Filtros, Tubos, located in Mozambique. He's been a partner with Donaldson for several years, supporting both the industrial and the mobile solution side of the business. And he brings with him a very unique flavor to this webinar when he's bringing insight from markets aside from South Africa, that is being Africa, because as we know, we may participate in the same sector, but in different environments, the approach is different, the solutions are different. So it'll be a good insight to have him here and valuable information that will be shared. Then we move over to Mr. Atish Singh, the head of sales for the industrial sector for Africa, a host of experience coming from both commercial, contractual management, right up to mechanical engineering with the mining sector, very associated with the mining application, specifically on the crusher system, design good solution for the crushing mills, right up to the mining applications and pulverizers. And then finally, the guy on your far right, Mr. Dirk, the Managing Director of DV Projects and Maintenance. He's been, I think, since the inception or after school, straightly associated with the mining industry, specifically on the open cast and undergrounding. And he's been affiliated with Donaldson, providing amazing solutions to the mining industry and helped assistantly with some reports and papers for the mining industry that's designed of reducing downtime. So with that said, I'm not going to hold you up here. I'm going to hand you over to our first panelist, Mr. Reuben Phasha. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Brian, for the nice introduction. You can do better than I can do myself. All right, next slide. Thank you. All right, as Brian has just introduced me, for over 30 years of my time in mining operation, I have seen a lot of things evolving, from the systems to technology, but there are certain things that will never change, the fundamentals of maintenance. Today, we're going to talk about the practical solution that work, but also the cost of getting it wrong. Maybe we can move to the next slide. So most of the manufacturer of the equipment, they have adopted the concept of the bathtub curve when they design and develop the machines, and they divided those parts into 3 levels. The level 1 is called the life of machine component. Most of those are the structure of the machine, the frame, the engine block, the main housing. These are designed to last the entire life of the machine. And they are very expensive, extremely expensive to repair or to replace. But not only that, these are the parts that are not featuring on the list of inventory. So most of them are made to order. So the next level there is a mid-life components. And again, those are actually the engine parts, mostly the internal parts of the engine, the turbocharger, the fuel system, the injectors, transmission, the funnel drive parts, the spindles, the hub. Those are actually the mid-life components. Again, expected to last the roughly half-life of the machine. Still high cost, but critical to operation. Now, coming to level 3, which is the wear components. These are the seals, the bearings, and other service items like your filters and lubricants. These are replaced during the scheduled interval, and then also low cost, but really extremely high impact in operation of the machine, of the mines. Next slide, please. As we just spoke about the hidden cost trap, now let's talk about the reality that we see in the mine. One of the critical, condition on the mine is the dirt and dust. So here we talk about the reality of contamination. Over 70% of manufacturing losses are tied to human error. I'll allow that to sink in just for a second. Over 70% of the manufacturing losses are tied to human error. 75 to 80% of hydraulic and pneumatic systems fail due to contamination. Obviously, now splitting the factory faults versus the failure caused by the contamination. Now, going back to that, the model, the bathtub curve. So in the early stage of the failure, we call it infant mortality. This actually is the failure related to the manufacturing losses that we mentioned now. Most of the time, the manufacturer try now to catch those failures during the pre-delivery inspection, or even during the component commissioning, or even during the system testing. The second phase or the stage of that is called the useful life, and this is the part that we try now to extend as far as possible. The failures here become normal or nominal, where the failures can only happen due to the poor maintenance or the lack of discipline in terms of operational behaviors. The last part, which most of the miners don't really like, is the wear out. We call it the end of life wear out. Increased wear rate due to the design operational life. So most of the time, as we extend the life of machine, this part, that's when the machine is prepared for decommissioning. The next slide, please. Now we just spoke about the reality of the contamination. Now, these are the critical oversights that often overlooked, and then they become, the result become even severe. We talk about the ignored indicators such as oil sample trends, the fuel consumption, the cycle time, the frequent breakdowns. The early warnings, we talk about the loss of power, the performance loss, the fuel burn, the excessive engine smoke, the system pressure drop, and the machine overheat. Those are the early warnings that if we ignore that, it will actually, lead to the catastrophic failure. And again, the poor discipline in terms of the daily inspection or even the record keeping. The other part, which is very critical, is a bulk fluid storage management. And it's not that the mine, they have not actually tried to, to bring up to speed in terms of the resources and the tools that are needed to keep with it, to keep the system clean and also to maintain the cleanliness level. We've seen that also, there's examples at the bottom. Okay, the next slide, please. Now, cost of getting it wrong or catching it too late, as I've just mentioned now, that if we get all that wrong, it will lead to premature failure, increasing the operating cost of the machine or even of the mine, eventually damaging the level 1 and level 2 parts, which we just mentioned that most of them are not on inventory list, and also leading to the unplanned machine and component repairs, impacting the production hours. Now let's just talk about the production protection chain at the moment, just for a moment. We have a level 3 components exist. The level 3 component exists purely for the one purpose, which is to protect the level 1 and level 2. And on there, we often say now once I deliver machine on site, it becomes the customer's responsibility. We've seen that whether it's a delivery of oil or diesel. But the protection of the protection starts from the delivery of the diesel or oil on site, from the bulk storage right to the machine. Now, the outcome of the TCO is a joint responsibility between the Donaldson and the end user. So we are partnering in this case to make sure that the customer realize the desired outcome in terms of the total cost of ownership. Now, I'm going to actually draw your attention for a minute now on the practical solution that work. We have many solutions, as I spoke about the fundamentals, the basics. So now we're going to actually pick on just the air intake system. On there, we're taking one component called a trickle valve to eliminate the dust caking. This also improves the air pre-cleaner efficiencies and oil flow performance, optimizing the life of the level 1 and level 2 engine components, obviously ultimately extending the maintenance cycles. When you go to the next slide, you'll see that there is a success story. This is the case study which was conducted on one of the coal mines in Australia. So the objective was to eliminate the dust caking and a higher restriction event in the mine haul trucks. So the trial was actually conducted on a 6 Komatsu 830E haul trucks. And the trial ran for a period of 16 months. The operating hours was up to over 8,000 hours at the high dust open cast mine, as we know the condition on site. So the result at the bottom there, you can see that after over 8,000 hours, after over 16 months, they came up with 0 events in terms of the restriction. And then in terms of the elimination of the dust caking, it was 100%, as you can see on 2 pictures at the bottom there. The first one was before the trial. You can see the condition on those caps. And the other one there is after the trial, after 16 months, over 8,000 hours. That's the condition of those caps. So this really, we talk about the basics, the fundamentals, where we drive the discipline in terms of, in extending the maintenance life cycles, but also making sure that we protect the very same component that we want them to last up to 60 to 72,000 hours. So this really, to me, coming from the tools as a mechanic to where I am at the moment, when I see this, I wish I can go back, because this is where you can really make an impact and also make a significant contribution to our customers in terms of providing a solution. As we speak about the practical solution that work, going back to the basics. If there's no question, now I can hand over to Glenn to take us through the other solution from the ground with the customers. Thank you.
Thank you, Reuben. Good afternoon, everybody. It's actually a big pleasure to be part of this webinar, and thank you to the panelists. It's been fun in the build-up and the lead-up to this webinar. Just a short introduction on myself. I've been in this industry in Mozambique for 20 years. So I believe that I have quite an accurate and precise grasp of this industry in Mozambique. And then of that 20 years, I've been with Filtros and Tubos for 11 years. Can we move on to the next slide, please? The overview of Filtros and Tubos. We've been active since 2007. Our core and foundational product has been Donaldson Filtration. We have been with Donaldson since 2007. It's been an extremely productive partnership on all levels and in every way that you would expect to be able to do business with a partner like Donaldson. And we have 3 branches. We're hoping to open up 1 more branch later on this year. After about 15 years in business in Mozambique, we had developed a very solid and good client base that had been with us for a number of years. And we had seen that there was an advantage to add products to our range that would suit our clients. So we added things such as lubricants, ground engaging tools, and undercarriage. And then therefore that led us to become distributors for brands such as Q8 Oils, Port Longyear, and ITR. We have the staff complement of about 25. Can we go to the next slide, please? This is just to give you an overview of our footprint in Mozambique. On the right is a map of Mozambique. If you look at the bottom of the map in red, that's the province of Maputo. And in the city of Matola is where our branch is based. And then to the middle of the country and the center of the country, the brown colored Tet, that's the province Tet. We have a branch in Motiz. And then moving to the right to the light blue is the province Nampula, and we have a branch there in the city of Nakala. And then going to the top of the map in the dark green is a province called Cabo Delgado. And there's a town there called Pemba, where we're hoping to open up the branch in the third or the fourth quarter this year. And then depending on the security situation, maybe next year, right at the top of the map, you can't see the name, but there's a town called Palma, and we would hopefully open up a branch there. We do have premises already, both in Pemba and Palma, but we haven't been able to proceed with the mobilization of those branches due to the security situation. That province, Cabo Delgado, is going to be an interesting province in the future because there's gas fields that have been discovered, and they're potentially the third largest gas fields in Africa, and definitely within the top 10 of the world as far as gas production. So that's something exciting to look forward to. However, it has been delayed for numerous reasons over 10 or 15 years. And production for the gas is now only expected to be in around 2029. But these projects pretty much started between 2010 and 2015. And that again, I'll just add in here, is a picture pretty much of what Mozambique can be like, where there's a lot of talk and a lot of projects, but due to a number of reasons, they can get delayed. We can move to the next slide. This is just to give you an idea of the market in Mozambique and the sectors that we focus on. Mozambique is a small market, but it's not insignificant at all. Just to give you a size, an indication of our size, the GDP of Mozambique is about $20 billion per year. And comparing that to South Africa, which sits at about $400 billion per year, it's 20 times larger than Mozambique. The sectors that we focus on is mining, construction, transportation, agricultural, power generation, and the ports. Let's go to the first one, mining. The major mining is coal, graphite, titanium, gold, and rubies. And the mining contribution to GDP is at about 10 to 12%. However, that does include the gas, and the gas hasn't started yet. So in reality, that's a lot less, that contribution. Construction only contributes 2 to 4% of GDP, and it's very project specific, so therefore cyclical. So it just depends what projects are happening and whether they're delayed or not, whether that 2 and 4% contributes to the GDP. Transportation sits at 10% of GDP. Agriculture is a large percentage of GDP, but it's big in numbers, but low in productivity. A big portion of that percentage is substance farming, and is low productivity and no mechanization. So there's not too much scope for us as an engine filter provider. And then power and energy would contribute about 2 to 5% of GDP. We can go to the next slide. Just to give you an understanding a little bit of the Mozambique dynamics, and this is not a complete list. And I would also just like to bring here that this is information based on my opinion from my experience and observations in Mozambique. The economy of Mozambique is a moderate economy, and on paper can look pretty good, but in reality it's uneven. And what I mean by that is that it's actually just a handful of projects that will drive the country. So if we think of the gas that's been waiting to happen, that's something that's going to contribute largely to the GDP. And the coal mining also is something that contributes largely to the GDP. So it looks good on paper, but it's actually only a few projects that will contribute to significantly to the country's growth. Unfortunately, in the country's growth, I think in 2023, the growth was sitting at about 6%. And for a number of reasons, this year we've gone all the way down to a forecast of about 0.5% growth. And there's been political instability, and there's a forex crisis at the moment. Those are two things that are contributing to the decline in the growth of the country. We have, as I've just mentioned, a chronic and a crisis of foreign exchange at the moment. There's just a huge shortage. Mozambique relies heavily on imports. There's very little that is manufactured or produced in Mozambique. And because there's a forex crisis, it's got a direct impact on all kinds of business in getting product into the country, which is having a very negative impact on businesses across the board. The political environment is we would regard it as stable, and it's not an environment that's really open or competitive. There was protests about a year and a half ago, post-election protests, and those were very serious protests, which had a very negative impact on the country for at least 6 months heavily. And we're still feeling the ripple effects of those protests. There was a huge rush out of the country of foreign investments through those protests, and that really hasn't come back. The governance and corruption in Mozambique can be a complicated one. There's a lot of corruption on different levels, whether it's at customs or licensing or public contracts. But we've been in the business for a long time, so we don't really feel it on the customs and the licensing side. We just do things by the book, and we've learned how to do that correctly and just get our way by doing things correctly. But we do feel it heavily on the private sector. I would say that in general, we can lose as much as 40% of business to bribery and corruption, which we don't entertain, which is obviously quite a sad situation and concerning. And then lastly, I think that the security situation up north in Cabo Delgado has been, the effects have been extreme because there's been very little foreign investment happening because of the insurgencies. And that's a very big project, the whole gas project. So unfortunately, that's all on hold. And thankfully, there is a little bit of movement happening this year, and hopefully the insurgencies will stop. They do, however, continue quite frequently, but nobody ever hears about it. It's kept away from the media, but we know that it's still happening quite often on the ground. But the gas companies have decided to move ahead. So we're hoping that production will happen in about 2029. The next slide, please. From our side, when it comes to customer relationships, I think we've had it, I don't want this to sound too simple, but we've had it pretty easy over the last 20 years. Mainly because of our partnership with Donaldson, which has been the core product from the beginning and literally was the only product for the first 10 or 15 years. And we've been able to get in with clients very early on and had clients stick with us for many years. And we've had very, very few, over 20 years, we've had less than a handful of comebacks on our products. And if there's even 5 comebacks that have happened, 3 of them would have been over situations of perhaps a misunderstanding in a cross-reference of a part number, or perhaps the wrong part number was given, or the wrong application was given. So technically, it wasn't the product that failed. In 20 years, I think we've had about 2 comebacks as far as the product goes on a warranty basis. So it's a superior product, and that has from the outset put clients in a situation where we've been able to provide them with practical solutions across the board on the engine filtration as well as industrial filtration. Industrial filtration is not huge in Mozambique. There's pretty much very little in production or industry happening in Mozambique. But on the engine side, the product itself has been able to, from the get-go, show clients that it reduces downtime. And we've been able to go into clients and be able to put the Donaldson brand in over OE products or other branded aftermarket products. As I said, we've just had it very easy and very simple, and there's been no comebacks, and therefore we have a very, very good reputation along with Donaldson in the markets. In fact, when clients come to us and they find out that we don't have a solution for them, then they get very, very concerned, because if we don't have it, then they understand that nobody else in the country is going to have it. But we've got to the point over the years where we've pretty much become a one-stop shop as far as filtration goes. So there's very few times that we are turning clients away where we can't help them. So 99% of the time we are able to help our clients with any kind of solution with regards to their filtration needs. We focus a lot on technical support and advice to clients. We always available for our clients. We go on site whenever they need us to be on site. Our team have been with us for a long time as well. So all of them have understood the market and are also able to provide advice and technical support whenever needed. We do put a lot of effort and time and money into stock holding, because we do realize that if we don't have the stock when our clients need it, that it can have a direct impact to their performance. Unfortunately, that's been a bit of a challenge over the last year and a half due to the Forex crisis. But this year we've managed to find ways around that and are again getting our stock levels back to the place that they need to be. And then in general, we just want to make business very easy for our clients, from the very first process to the end. So whether it's quoting and invoicing, supplying the products, making sure that they fit well, invoicing, holding stock for them, being able to change filters if they need them changed, if something was ordered incorrectly. So we do have a reputation of being a very easy company and to do business with, and therefore I think satisfy most of our clients' needs most of the time. Thank you very much. That's all from me on my side.
Many thanks, Lynn. It's quite informative hearing about Filtros and Tubos and the Mozambique market. Good afternoon, everybody. So my name is Atish Singh, and I head up the Industrial Air Filtration Division across Africa for Donaldson. And today I'm going to be focusing on reducing downtime across your mining operations from the industrial air filtration perspective. Next slide, please. So dust filtration in mining is not just a compliance exercise. It's also one of the biggest levers we have to protect equipment, stabilizing throughput and preventing unplanned downtime. Effectively controlled dust extraction can help prevent premature equipment wear, block systems, overheating, as well as sensor failure, all potentially resulting in unexpected plant shutdowns, not to mention the safety aspect of operating and working in high dust load workspaces. Next slide, please. So dust causes failures in quite a few predictable ways. Some of these are abrasive wear on fans, pumps, and bearings, the clogging of filters and ducts, which results in system tripping, overheating of motors, drives, and electrical points due to dust buildup on both equipment and on cooling systems, instrumentation failure due to block sensors and dirty optics, conveyor and transfer point buildup, resulting in the misalignment and spillages, as well as health incidents that result in the stoppage of plants for inspections and further investigations. Therefore, effective dust extraction is key to ending plant, and this can only be done by supporting dust extraction in both pre and post mining processes, ensuring optimized production, output, and continuous dust extraction through regular maintenance of dust extraction systems. This is typically done through SLAs or service level agreements together with our partners. Your filtration strategy needs to include these target points in order to move your downtime needle. Next slide, please. So specific to the mining industry, for all mining and process flow activities, some of the applications we offer solutions to are the product stockpiles, your crushing plants and mills, conveyor systems, which also include their transfer points, the silo venting, product processing equipment, as well as the sample prep and fire assay labs where harmful fumes are a major concern, thereby ensuring a complete ROM to product filtration solution basket for your mining operations through Donaldson, which is done by utilizing our equipment solutions from a broad range of dust and fume extraction product lines, which are typically our cartridge filters and baghouses, which utilize our Max Pulse self-cleaning pulsating systems and application-specific proprietary media selections specific to the mining industry. So bottom line is, if one of your goals is to reduce operational downtime, the winning formula is capturing your dust at your source, using the correct filter media together with an automated cleaning system. And I really look forward to further engagement with each and every one of you on any requirements you may have within your mining and processing operations to see how we can assist you in reducing your downtime. And with that, I'll hand over to one of our key industrial air filtration partners, which is DV Projects, who is represented by Mr. Dirk Visagie. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Atish. And yeah, thanks again for the opportunity to be part of the panel. Brian, to you and your team of the support of the partnership that we've had over several years. Brian, you gave away my age. I'm only 45. Being in the industry for 25 years, guys. Yes, it's a learning curve, and it's also been very challenging and also successfully. And once again, yeah, thanks for being a partnership with Donaldson Filtration. Can I just have the next slide, please? Okay. So I've been asked just to share a bit to add on to what Atish has just presented to us. This is one of our reason projects that we did in the area of the Northwest at a platinum mine. It was in base metal refinery section. We've had some challenges there in regards to the containing of the dust and the processing and packing of the equipment. The dust that we collected was raw iron and a lot of other toxic gases that was released with the processing and the packing of the material. And then obviously apart from that, the health risks that was a part of it. Even that in today's day, we got robots and different ways of transferring and packing of equipment. We always got people that is actually be affected with this process as well. The dust nature was really very fine. And like I said, it was a toxic, and it also had the potential of corrosion. So thereafter, with all our experience over the years that has been built up, we've come up with a solution, and we actually handled the project as a full turnkey solution. And just to add on to what Atish has gone through now is we've actually replaced the filter system that was in place over a long period of years. We've managed to install and supply a new dust extraction that was more than half of the footprint size that the mine was actually used to. And with that saying as well, we've actually reduced the maintenance factor of it, where the mine used to, on the old technology, used to spend a day on maintaining that filters and changing out the filters. And now with the new technology and the new units that we've put in there, we've reduced that back to half an hour downtime just to change filters. I would think that is really, really, really important on time saving, and obviously time is money. So yeah, the mine was really impressed with that as well. And with that selection that we offered and installed as well, we've reduced the cost of the parts that's needed. It's normally recommended that a dust filter unit, cartridges or bags would need to be changed at least minimum once a year. And with this particular project, we've actually reduced the cost on yearly maintenance of it more than 70% of it, based on the cartridge technology that we've actually installed now. The fan, due to the cartridges that we've used, we've reduced the cost and power saving on the fan that goes along with that. And then part of the solution was obviously, with the challenges that we had, was all stainless steel ducting that we've actually installed and supplied. Can we just go to the next slide? Okay, so there's just a typical how the project basically was designed and the solution that we provided to the customer. We actually had 15 extraction points that needed to be extracted from. And one of the ways of containing the dust over the conveyor belts was basically to enclose it. And then for the toxic gases and the potential of corrosion, it was all with stainless steel ducting. There's a small photo there of the dust collector. Like I said, we on filter unit size, we basically more than half of the footprint on the old technology that was used. And this was a 24 cartridge unit. Just based on the technology that Donaldson offers us, and that can be offered to customers and definitely reduced on cost saving on maintenance and then operation cost as well. Thank you very much, Brian and the team.
Fantastic. Thank you, Mr. Visagie, and thank you for everyone. Gentlemen, you've said some insightful information, and whilst we wait for the questions to build up in the chat box, I'd just like to own in on a specific point. I think it was fragmented on Reuben's presentation and reiterated in Dirk's presentation, where we speak about the issue of hidden cost. It may sound as a cliche, but I'm sure everyone around this forum here can resonate with that. The hidden cost, as opposed to how do we measure total cost of ownership, and how critical is for us to factor this here and take that into consideration when you're doing parity comparisons. So thanks for drilling down to that shape. And I mean, we've seen a situation, especially I think on TV projects, where you halve the footprint whilst achieving double amount of filtration area. These are the little things that Donaldson prides itself into, bringing new innovations into the market and exposing the market out there, what new technology is coming. And this is coming from backed up research and technologies with hundreds of millions that we invest on research and development to ensure that we sustainably and we effectively support the mining industry. So thank you very much, gentlemen. Much appreciate that there. Renette, maybe it's time for us to look at the Q&A. Let's see what questions or comments we've got that we can tackle. And for those of you who haven't posted yet, please have some moments, think about it and post in. Let's see what we've got. I think the first one, maybe it's a comment from Daniel Breed from Ethiopia. That's fine. I believe Renette has sent you the link. I understand you're having some connectivity issues. The other one is from Mr. Godfrey Safako. I think it's merely a statement. Godfrey, we are affiliated with DRD Gold. I believe we do some aftermarket side of it. And just for information purposes, I think where the team will come in as a holistic solution in your area of the business, that would include from the inception of your drilling and blasting applications, where you've seen Mr. Phasha, who presented the first part of that. He and his team were totally familiar with the articulated dump trucks, front end, backer loaders, graders, and so forth. We will have proper solutions. And then this is where we talk about holistic solution, right up to your silos, your stockpiling, crushing, and smelting. That's where Mr. Atish Singh, the gentleman just before Dirk Visagie. So feel free to reach out to this gentleman should you require any more information or insight into any needs that you may require on DRD Gold, Mr. Godfrey Safako. Okay, let's see if we've got anything else in the chat box. All right, so we've got from Zinkler, you've mentioned over 70% of the losses are tied to human error. Does that mean current maintenance schedules are fine, but the execution is what is failing? Mr. Phasha, would you take that there?
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool.
So good question from Zintle. So what happened is, as they assemble the machine during the installation, either maybe the one of the steps in the process was not followed, or maybe during the installation there was actually a product that had a defect already. So those ones actually form part of the manufacturer's faults. So it's not necessarily on one factor, but it can actually go throughout. It could be either maybe from the when the component was manufactured, it has defect, or also during the assembly and installation.
Cool. Thanks, Reuben. And maybe if I can just add there, yeah, we keep harping on that one-stop solution, holistic solution, and that's where we'd like to differentiate ourselves from others. Ours is just not offering a solution, etc. It goes right up to training and development, because I sincerely believe a lot of the 70% is attributable to lack of knowledge in certain or incorrect articulation of a project when we're handing over. So we ensure from a Donaldson point of view that is done robustly with a proper team of trainers and developing team coming to your premises and providing adequate training to all those involved in that application. Cool. Let's see what else. Okay, I believe we addressed what we have in the panel. For those who haven't thought of it, feel free, think about it, digest this here. I believe the presentations would be made available to those who need it. Feel free to reach out to our experts that have been presented. You are more than welcome for any advice. It doesn't have to be, an order-driven type of thing. To any suggestions, advice that you'd like to run past the team, we're more than willing to touch base with you guys. So thank you again for joining in. I will then hand over to Shannon.
Brian, I'm not going to let you go that quickly because I see one quick question came in through the chat.
Okay.
And the person asks, how would you recommend mines structure a reporting framework that links filtration performance indicators such as restriction events, filter life, dust cup condition, oil sample trends, etc., into one early warning dashboard for maintenance and operations teams? Are you able to take that one, or perhaps one of the other panelists?
Indeed.
Yeah, I can take that.
Oh, Reuben, that's
Right.
fine. Go for it,
Sorry.
Reuben,
All right. Let me, I think, you know what, we're excited to see this kind of questions. Maybe before I can just directly answer that one, I would also take you back to the reliability modeling on the mine. First of all, when they buy the machine, they already estimated the life of the operating life of that machine. And from there, they come down to the day-to-day planning and maintenance. So definitely the some mines, they prefer to do the maintenance based on the intervals. Whereas what we always encourage is that When you do based on the intervals, you might also lose some of the life on that particular filter. So the use of the service indicators, it does really help in maximizing the life of those components. So in the question, when you say, does the filter link the performance indicators such as the restriction events, filter life correctly? Yes. The small things, as I mentioned, that these are the fundamentals. If we do the fundamentals, definitely will maximize what we call the level 3 parts, and also the level 3 parts will protect the level 1 and level 2 parts. I don't know if you want to actually add to that one.
Fantastic, Reuben. Maybe just to own in on the industrial side of it, Mr. Akshay Singh, I believe that question is coming from you. On the industrial side, we have a C300 controller and we have a system called the IQ system. That has been recently implemented, I think, over the last 3 to 5 years in Europe and across USA. We have implemented this in few mines with Dirk, who's on the line as well. So essentially what the system does, it offers the user the luxury to remote variable conditions from the access of the office. So the transmitter will transmit the necessary details such as differential pressure, loading, volumes, etc., right via a SCADA system or a PL system at the luxury of the offices. Many organizations use this to the advantage to design preventative maintenance solutions. So this has been a big link that enhanced reducing downtime. So we do have the solutions called the IQ system. Feel free to reach out to Mr. Atish Singh with regards to that there, and Mr. Reuben Phasha on the equipment side of it to discuss further.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Thanks, Brian. Dirk, would you like to add anything to that?
No, definitely. Just like Brian said, guys, in the industrial side, the technology uses reverse pulse systems to actually clean the filters. That's on heavy particles and big dust extraction systems. So therefore, like Brian just said, we make use of the C300 controllers. That's one of the selections that we've got. And that basically does all your monitoring for you. Your differential pressures, obviously with the assistance of we as experts would guide you on exactly what the differential pressures needs to be. And along with that as well, there's a service level agreement that we offer on either a monthly basis, depending on the requirements, is a very basic inspection that needs to be done on a regular basis. And that basically sums it up on what your status of your dust extraction is. And that's another cost saving.
Great. Thank you very much. It looks like that's the last question. So if anybody has got anything else, you're welcome to be in touch with us afterwards, and we'll pass those questions on to the to the panelists. And with that, that brings us to the end of the webinar. I would like to say thank you to Brian Gabriel, Reuben Phasha, and Atish Singh from Donaldson Filtration, as well as Dirk Visagie from DV Projects and Maintenance Solutions, and Glenn Stoffberg from Filtros Tubos, Mozambique, for their expertise. And also thank you so much to the attendees for taking the time to join us for today's discussion. If you're interested in hearing more about Donaldson, please visit their website at www.donaldson.com. For over 100 years, Donaldson has been solving customers' complex filtration needs and is today one of the largest providers of unique filtration technologies and high-quality filters and parts. Finally, a reminder that the recording of today's webinar will be made available to all stakeholders. And if you have any additional questions, please be in touch. You can reach us at shannon@creamermedia.co.za. Thank you so much for your time, and goodbye.